I'm going to discuss the movie-going experience because I think it merits it, and finally, I will go into spoilers and give you my thoughts on the movie, including some theories I have. First off, the police and military were prepared for the inevitable theatrical violence of Joker. The blue check mob on Twitter had lit their torches when the first trailer dropped and led with the battle cry of the movie provoking male rage from those darned white, involuntarily celibate guys. The media whipped themselves into a frenzy, practically begging someone to just do it. Trailer 2 didn't fare much better, and then the movie opened, and all those voices grew suddenly silent. And I'll get into that in a bit. I had read that theaters in some states weren't admitting single males, so I took the old lady along. After paying almost $20 a ticket for a seat in the nearly empty RPX theater, I was then treated to a security check by an overweight Mexican lady who mostly just wanted to look in the old lady's purse. I got some stale theater food, sat in my chair at my designated showtime, and watched roughly 30 minutes of TV commercials. I thought the incentive of paying for something was no commercials. If the theater is going to load a movie with 30 minutes of badly produced commercials, then the admission should probably be free. So I say either ditch the ads and charge admission, or run the ads and make admission free. What do you think, you're Hulu or something? It's terrible. So after the non-skippable ads, I was treated to more ads. Sorry, trailers. But actually, woke propaganda is a better description. The counter-programming was amazing, as Warner Brothers used YouTube's system of, oh, you want this? Let me show you the opposite. The first trailer was for the movie Gemini Man, where a black super assassin fights a younger version of himself, or Black Looper. That's not going to be DOA on release. Then we're on to Terminator Woke Fate. The RPX is a large screen with 4K projection, and when Linda Hamilton's booze-soaked face filled that 100-foot screen and that male voice came out of her, I groaned audibly and was quickly elbowed by the old lady for being loud. Before I know it, I'm watching anti-Nazi propaganda in the form of Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, World War II, real topical. And then, like a battered housewife, I told myself it was all over, and that's when the sucker punch came in the form of Harriet Tubman, a blaxploitation action movie. Now she's credited with starting the Underground Railroad. Basically, this is like a mix of Django Unchained and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. Now just kind of picture that Lincoln is a strong black woman and the vampires are evil whitey. Now, as I was reeling from the assault on my senses, I was greeted by another historical movie. 1917, a serious movie about the Brits having to get past enemy lines, aka the Frits or the Jerrys, otherwise known as Germans, aka World War I Nazis. At this point, the old lady, who's pretty much a normie, leans over and asks me, are all these movies because people think Trump's a Nazi? Way to go, Hollywood. You're red-pilling the normies. Everything was starting to go black from the amount of wokeness, and then it came, the hottest garbage I have ever seen, the trailer for Turds of Gay. I mean, Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn is the strong woman who don't need no Joker. Get it? And with her old female minority friends, they're off to teach white males a lesson. I mean, I think I zoned out pretty hard here and everything went black, and then the movie I'd actually paid to see started. I had actually kind of briefly forgotten what I was even there to see, and it was around this time teenagers started sneaking into the theater, a young solo black male, and then a crowd of junior high age Mexican boys. Every time a new person came into the almost empty theater, I leaned over and told the old lady, "There's the shooter." And she was already paranoid about seeing the movie for that reason. In fact, if you Google Joker shooting, it brings up the 2012 incident as if it just happened. For the record, that guy had orange hair, and some reporter was either colorblind or got Ronald McDonald and the Joker mixed up because Batman movie. So Joker finally starts, and I'm going to address everything I liked first. The movie is set in 1981, and the old Warner logo greeted us. It's a nice attention to detail. The titles were done in a cursive font, which is a departure from the block letter fonts used for just about every modern movie. The cinematography and lighting were really good and time appropriate for 1981. The costuming and set dressing was also on point. Never once did a non-time period prop or piece of clothing or line of dialogue distract me and take me out of the movie. The filmmakers recreated early 80s 42nd Street very well. We all know what the Deuce looked like, and they got it. Joaquin Phoenix was pretty much in every frame of the movie, and I found myself completely pulled into watching him. Here I want to discuss plot elements, and so we're going into spoiler territory. I'm not exactly sure what my opinion of the movie is. I think you should see it and make your own call. Now, I'm not telling you to support Warner Brothers. I'm just saying see the movie and make your own judgment. Okay, spoilers. So, I don't have an opinion about the movie because it did a perfect job of parking itself right on the fence. It's really such a mundane thing to do. So, director Todd Phillips said that he was unable to make comedies anymore, so this was his statement about cancel culture. At the same time, you have Warner, who is all aboard the social justice train. Joker is a lone white male with no girlfriend, but he also has 100 mental illnesses and lives on the government's dime. Sort of a mix between a basement dweller and a Tumblrite. While he technically is the film's protagonist, he is also a villain. The Joker, the clown prince of crime, single mother black women are both presented as being mean to him and the object of his desire. Thomas Wayne is both a Trump representation, as he's a rich guy and runs for office, and a Hillary representation, as he calls the people that oppose him clowns, and they rally using the clown as a badge of honor, much like when Hillary called Trump supporters deplorable, and they wore that as a badge of honor. The city gets destroyed by a group who is suspiciously reminiscent of Antifa. During a violent riot on a train, the rioters kill 2 cops who were literally just doing their jobs and had not been presented as evil cops, and was reminiscent of what had happened repeatedly with BLM. Later, a cop basically tells the Joker that there was no political results and that all he did was cause a riot and destroyed a city. During the interview with Not Johnny Carson, Joker says he couldn't start a movement and he isn't political. He tells Not Johnny Carson that people are awful and the world around him is to blame. Not Carson tells him that's his view of the world and he's a crybaby. The movie presents a point and counterpoint for every argument and basically tells the audience, you decide. A moment that a lot of people call out is when Joker shoots 3 guys on a train. All 3 of the guys were drunk, being jerks, and worked for Wayne Enterprises. So here's what I found interesting. At the start of the movie, 3 ethnic kids steal a sign, knock him over the head, and proceed to kick the crap out of him. Later he says they're just kids. The same scene basically plays out again, and this time he fatally shoots them. So he lets the minority kids get away with kicking him around, but Whitey better not do it, or he will hunt you all down and execute you. Is getting beat up a good enough reason to kill 3 people? It seems a little excessive to me, kind of like cancel culture. As in, I'm offended by your 8-year-old tweet, I think I'll get you fired from your job. And what's funny to me is he shoots these guys like a bitch because he couldn't defend himself any other way. And the media is actually the one who uses that to start the riots. I think the WB execs were so excited by him killing Trump supporters that they missed the context. Another thing I found interesting was when the Joker kills not Johnny Carson on live TV, De Niro, a super vocal liber, gets shot in the head. Now, some people say De Niro was in Joker because TP ripped off Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, and Fight Club. Now, all I'm going to say about that is every movie I've seen in the past 10 years has elements from other movies in it, to the point where I stopped caring. Hunger Games was almost completely lifted from Battle Royale, yet nobody had much to say about that. Now, Todd Phillips tossed a hand grenade in the middle of this movie, right at the end of Act 2, that seemingly nobody caught. I'll premise by saying Phillips made it a point to put us into the Joker's head right at the start. He has the fantasy about being on The Tonight Show and even has a Tyler Durden girlfriend. So we never know when gears shift till suddenly we realize the car was parked the whole time. So at the end of Act 2, when the man who would be Joker hits rock bottom, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean, he comes home and pulls all of the food out of the fridge and throws it on the floor. He then pulls the shelves out of the fridge, and once it's empty, he gets in the fridge and closes the door behind him. If you recall, this starts Act 3. He ends up going on the show, killing his friends from work, and confronting Thomas Wayne about being his father in the bathroom. As hazy as the Thomas Wayne connection is, they do look very similar, and even Joker calls it out. Every scene in Act 3 after he locks himself in the fridge is a hallucination in his dying brain. Pay close attention to the handle on the door of the fridge. It's an old locking type from the 50s, the ones that didn't seal with a magnetic strip, but a mechanical lock that could only be opened from the outside. Who let him out? When you dispose of a refrigerator, which is commonly done by putting them on the curb for the trash to take, you have to take the door off because children can get trapped inside and die from asphyxiation. It's New York state law that old refrigerator doors be removed before disposal to prevent entrapment and suffocation of children who may be able to get inside an old fridge but unable to escape if the door closes. Fridge death was a reality, as discussed in this 1987 New York Times article. It almost makes you rethink Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. You could almost say Joker ripped that off, since obviously Indy died in the fridge, and the movie was the last thoughts of a dying man, taking place in only a few seconds as he was either vaporized by the nuke or suffocated in the fridge. So once Arthur got in the fridge with it still running, the cold would make his pulse weak and slow his breathing, making the oxygen in the fridge last a little longer, and he would suffocate gradually. He could experience confusion and memory loss, and at this time, he could either be fantasizing or having vivid hallucinations as his brain died. Either way, he was never the Joker except in his mind, and I do love that Arthur was pretty much dressed as the Cesar Romero Joker. Press that thumbs up and subscribe button if you liked the video, and if you really liked the video, feel free to share it. And if you thought it sucked, hit that thumbs down. I know who you are. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you're still subscribed. Drop me a comment here and let me know what your thoughts are. I had my main editing system go down, but I am definitely working on getting content up more regularly, including part 2 of the Ray is a Sith video. So remember, stay awake, stay alert. We are the new counterculture.